This is my third video on the Stewart Golf Q Follow Trolley. If you haven't seen the previous ones, I suggest you watch them first because they kind of follow on from each other. At the end of the last one I was speaking about this, the broken rear stabiliser. It's fixed now. I'll show you in a minute how I did that. I did get a statement from Stewart Golf on that, which is here. It says, "We've only seen a couple of stabilisers go so far. We believe as a result of shipping damage. So it's possible it was fractured during transit and only fully broke when it was struck the edge of your path. We'll monitor the situation anyway to make sure there is no material weakness on production." So hopefully that clears that up. Hopefully it was damaged in transit. Obviously invisible damage, and when it's hit the path it's broken. But obviously I will keep an eye on that. Hopefully it won't happen again. The fix for it was really quick. They sent me out the part the next day. My previous video had it in pieces, and I've got a wee hyperlapse of me putting it back together. It probably took about 10 minutes in total, but you'll see it in about 30 seconds now.
Rebuilding the trolley was a fairly simple process. I had to put the stabiliser in, slot a bar through it, place a cover on and put 6 screws into that, then refit the handle, make sure it lined up, put the LED in, put the cover plate on and put the 6 screws back in. Very simple and quick.
I'm just away to head out for my third round with the trolley. I checked it last night and the battery is still at 40%, so it's lost 1% from my fiddling about outside the house. I'm either brave or really stupid because I might play a really hilly course with lots of undulating fairways down the coast. So we'll see how it performs with that. Hopefully you can see that. Here's me at the Trump International Golf Links in Aberdeenshire. You can see here we have a whopping 6 degrees C, however, a nice sunny day. Looking forward to getting out in the course. So what I find here is the paths to walk around pretty wide open. Cart's managing no bother. Quite hilly. Bit concerned about my battery life already. Thinking I should have maybe charged it. Once I get to 9 holes, I'll get the phone out, double check with the app, Bluetooth, see how much percent I've used, and see if I think I'll be going to be pushing by the end of this. Some of the sort of typical undulations we're facing here. Quite steep hills, down, back up. Still haven't tipped it yet. I've checked the battery app, there were 9 holes down now, and it's at 19%. It started with 39 after diddling about back and forth the practice area and the range and stuff. So now I've got the second half of the course with 19%, which is much more hilly than the first. As you can see, we've got some quite testing looking hills in front of us. Got a funny feeling I'm going to be pushing by the end. So the inevitable has happened. The trolley has run out of battery. I'm on the 15th hole, so I checked the battery on the app and it said I had 5% remaining, and about 2 seconds after that the trolley just stopped dead. Went back and looked, the blue light was off and the trolley's gone. So I've disconnected the wheels and pushed it along the fairway. Got another 2 holes of this, a really steep 18th, which will be fun. The trolley weighs an absolute ton, must be about 30 odd kilograms with the bag on it. So yeah, the people who've asked me how difficult it is to push the trolley when it's in the manual mode, I'll now be able to give you an answer. So let me comment back on that once I've finished. For now, I'll just enjoy the scenery, hopefully hit some decent shots and not have to walk too far. Yeah, you can see the heights of the course when we're up at the top here. Trying to push the trolley up here was great fun. Thankfully, last hole of pushing.
I didn't want to spend the entire round walking about with a camera in my hand, so I've taken a few still pictures and posted them here so you can get an idea of the sort of hills I faced on the course. My gamble yesterday was a failure.
the trolley managed 15 out of the 18 holes before the battery died. That means it lasted 2 3/4 rounds rather than the 3 I was hoping for. I've got home and I've looked at the Garmin app that goes along with the Garmin Approach watch, and it tells me that I walked 8.5 miles yesterday. And then I've gone back and I've looked through previous rounds at my own course, and it's 6 miles. So obviously that's a much longer round. It's also much hillier, and it was quite tough conditions as well. The round yesterday took 4.5 hours. We were stuck behind a 4-ball for quite a lot of it. A round on my normal course probably takes 3.5 if I'm lucky. The other thing is I spent an hour on the driving range, the chipping area and the putting green beforehand, and I also drove about them. So that's not counted in that 8.5 miles. So that's something to take into consideration. If I was to be playing that course again, I think I would probably need 60% battery, but if I was to ever go back again, I would definitely have it at 100 just to be sure. I've had a few comments asking me about pushing the trolley, pushing it in manual mode and pushing it while powered. So yesterday I did quite a bit of both. Once I noticed the battery was low, I guided it while it was powered in order to try and save battery. So using the motors for steering uses more battery than just using them to drive. So that was an attempt to try and help. The trolley works well in the manual mode. I don't feel it's as ergonomic as the X series was, but what I ended up doing was holding the remote in one hand and my other hand on the handle of the trolley and guiding it that way. And I actually found it better to hold my hand on the trolley in the center of the two handles rather than on the handles themselves. But it went along great, no complaints at that. Manual mode, i.e. no power at all, what you've got to think is the trolley is 19 kilograms, my bag is just under 14, so I'm looking at 33 kilograms. That's a lot of weight. On a flat surface, not a problem at all, it freewheels nicely. Use 2 hands on the 2 handles and push it along, no problem at all. Downhill, obviously it starts to get away from you a wee bit, especially the steep ones. Because of the weight, it's trying to run away. But again, not really a problem. Uphill, however, uphill's tough. Arched back, pushing with your legs, really trying to give it some to get it up some of these hills, even taking a run at them. I think the rear stabilizer having a wheel on it is much better than the sort of skid pad that was on the X series. Obviously rolling up the hills much easier than dragging. So some good news for us people in Scotland, our travel restriction has been lifted as of today. As a result, the golf course is mobbed, 4 balls everywhere. So take this as a chance, slow around to hopefully give you some more updates. I've been asked a few times whether I use this in follow a lot or whether it's mainly remote. Now I would say just now I'm probably on my home course 80% follow, maybe 18% remote and a 2% manually pushing, and that's probably around the car park and maybe 1 or 2 little paths. The question of using the remote's probably become a bit more pertinent with Stewart Golf releasing the Q remote yesterday. So essentially it looks like the Q Follow, exactly the same trolley as far as I can tell, but doesn't have the follow function, it's only remote. It also seems to come with an 18-hole battery rather than the 36-hole battery, but you can choose the 36-hole battery. Now if you have a look at my one here, which is still trying to follow me, you can see that everything has been, around this side, everything has just been branded as Q series. Even the badge there, Q. There's no mention of follow on this at all, which would indicate that they've been thinking about this for a while and bringing out purely a remote control version of it. The remote control version retails at $999, so about £650 cheaper than the cheapest version of this. That's a significant saving if you didn't want to use the follow. However, personally I use the follow most of the round and find it probably one of the best features of the trolley.
So here I've strapped the camera onto my golf bag and I have it following me along this path. You can see it's probably moving maybe 2 foot to the left and 2 foot to the right of centre, the centre being the remote on my belt. So it's probably quite safe to take along a path of maybe 6 foot wide without worrying about it falling off the edge.
So lots and lots of bunkers here, as you can see. The whole route up to the green, quite tough. I'm going to risk this. That's not really a risk because I know it'll manage no problem. We're in follow here and it's going to follow me up without falling into any of the bunkers. I mean, generally if you're sensible with it, you take a kind of wide enough line round everything. Trolley will manage no problem. Unfortunately, I didn't quite make the green, so I'm having to veer off to the side. And there we go, no danger. Easy.
This was fully charged before I left the house, and one round of my home course is only used 28%.
So back out on the course next day, lovely sunny day. Had COVID, Oxford, AstraZeneca jab yesterday, so not feeling entirely great, but never miss opportunity to get out. Playing today with my father-in-law who has an X7, and what we're going to do in a minute is try drag racing them and see how speed-wise the Q performs against the old X series. Little drag race here between the X7 lithium and obviously the Q follow here. So on your marks, get set, go! Jump the line, but the actually that much faster, but it's definitely pulling away.
It's got higher top speed.
Yeah, there we go.
Slightly more than 28% this time, however I've still got 43% remaining after 2 full rounds.
I've got a couple of things I'd like to share before I upload the video here. First thing that kind of bothers me a wee bit is the handle. Now, hopefully you can see this. So on the handle here, there's a couple of ridges, one at either side, and it goes from there to there. And that just happens to be where my thumbs sit when I hold it with 2 hands. And it digs, these plastic bits are quite sharp and they dig into my thumbs. I don't find them particularly comfortable. I found when I was using it powered, I would hold it like that, and that saved me having the kind of flex of it by holding it with one hand. When playing with my father-in-law, he told me that he'd like to keep his X7 for as long as possible and he wouldn't want to upgrade it. And I wondered why, and he gave me a couple of good reasons. So this trolley uses a Bluetooth handset. The X, 9, 10 and Q all use the Bluetooth handset. The older models used an RF remote. Now the RF remote sent the trolley a signal. So you would press go and the trolley would go. You press stop, trolley would stop. It's sending a signal for a brief second. It's not continually paired to the trolley. As a result, the battery in the RF handset is just a 9 volt PP3 battery that you would buy at a petrol station, for example, and it can last anything from months to years, so it never ever needs charged. So that's something else that you wouldn't have to remember to charge, something that you're not likely to forget. The other benefit to having that sort of remote, as long as it's programmed specifically to this trolley, you can have multiple handsets. So my father-in-law has one that lives on his handle at all times, and he's got the other one either in his pocket or on his belt. What that means is when he wants to move his trolley forward because it's in somebody's way, he presses the button on the handset and wheels it forward and then stops it. If I want to do that, I have to go onto my belt, pick up my remote, press forward, stop it, put it back on my belt again. So it's much easier to have buttons on the handle. which leads to the question, why aren't there buttons on the handle? Perhaps it's due to wiring it down into the ECU of the trolley. Perhaps it's not possible, although it seems to be possible for other manufacturers to have this. What we really need is a forward, a stop, and a back button so you can navigate the trolley about. Obviously you don't need to steer it because you'd be doing that with your hand. But what it would be useful for is the days where either you forget to charge your remote, perhaps your remote breaks, or alternatively you've left your remote sitting on the charging station plugged in at home, and you get to the course you realise that. You'd still be able to use the trolley as a powered trolley. Obviously you'd have to hold it and steer it, but it'd be much better to have that option than just, I don't have a remote, I can't use the trolley at all other than unclipping the wheels and pushing it. So that's something I personally, and I imagine lots of other people would like to see on a future trolley, is buttons on the handle. It's been pointed out to me that this model here, the carbon edition, has increased in price in the last few weeks. So it used to be 1749, it's now 1849, so it's gone up £100. The black edition model remains at the same price it always did, 1649. So now you're paying an extra £200 for the carbon model. And I said previously, carbon model has carbon wheel arches, it's got a bit of carbon down here, and it's got carbon on the badge. What I didn't notice in my very initial first video, it wasn't until I started taking the rear stabiliser off that I realised that it's actually got a big chunk of carbon underneath. But once again, it's not carbon, it's painted plastic. So for £200, it's quite an expensive upgrade. Personally, I like it, I think it looks nice, but it is quite expensive for what you're getting. Back to the battery. Battery's done really well on the 2 rounds of my home course, still sitting at 42%. Would I take it out for a 3rd round? I kind of want to do it out of curiosity to see if I can manage 3 rounds just to say that I did, but realistically it's not something that normally I would do. If the battery was at 42%, I would charge it. I think generally it's designed to do 2 rounds, and probably that's what you should do. But there's still part of me intrigued whether I can get the 3rd round out of it or not. I've now used the trolley for 5 rounds, so I feel like I'm in a better position to give you a kind of overall conclusion. I think the trolley's been really good. I'm really happy with it. Yes, it's expensive, but I think it's worth the money. Selling my X9 Follow for nearly £1,000 gave me quite a good bit towards it. So it wasn't nearly as an expensive upgrade. It's worked very well in the time I've had it. It has not tipped over, it's not struggled up any hills, has tried to run me down a few times, but to be honest, the hills I was on, I was half expecting it. The only issue I've had so far has really been the rear stabiliser, which was corrected very quickly by Stewart sending me out another one and me fitting it myself. The travel bag's been a really good accessory. It's kept the car clean, it's functional, it does exactly what I want. Still waiting. I ordered, when I ordered the trolley, I also ordered a little ball holder. So it's going to clip onto the accessory points here and hold 2 balls. That's something I feel like I'm missing from my X series trolleys because they had ball holders on them and this doesn't. I personally would rather have the balls on the trolley than in my pocket, so I'm looking forward to that. Umbrella holder, I'm still trying to get hold of one of these. They continually out of stock, but as it's summer coming up soon, hopefully I won't be needing them hopefully I won't need one of them for a while anyway. I'm now fully familiar with the folding mechanism after a few rounds. I feel like I can put it down and assemble it really quickly without thinking about it now, so that's a good thing too. Overall, really pleased. Just the same again as last time, thanks to everybody that's watched this, thanks to everybody that's watched the previous ones, thanks to anyone that's commented, liked, subscribed. There's been some really positive comments. There's even people saying they have purchased a trolley based on my review, which is really nice to hear. I didn't expect so many people to watch it, to be honest. I've had over 1,500 views so far in a few weeks, which is way more than I ever expected, so thank you all. Same again, if you have any comments, if there is anything you want me to do, to show you, to try, then please let me know and I'll try and put it in the next video. But thanks again.